Earl is busy. Please don't be hanging him. Please, that's all I ask. Here she go. All right, cool.
Hi. You want me front or back?
You could come in the front. Earl is behind.
He's running late.
Yes. Earl is behind. I did not know it was you.
How you didn't know it was me, Lou?
I swear I did not know it was you. Listen, somebody hit me and said, she was like, oh, she's a great person speaking at the, advocate for the parents and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm used to seeing you
right.
be the boss mode.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Wow. I did not know that. I did not know that. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. We actually live right now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are live.
Okay.
So you can introduce yourself.
Hi. Where am I supposed to look, Lou? You gotta look
We
here.
got a camera right here. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Chaila Robinson. Hi, everybody who doesn't know me. Yeah, I'm me. What you want me to tell the people? Lou, they know me. People know me.
I mean, not a lot of people do know you.
You're right. You got a big following. You're right.
Not a lot of people do know you.
So I'm Chaila Robinson. I'm not from Bridgeport, but I've lived in Bridgeport.
Ryan King said, what's up, Shay?
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, see, camera's right there.
I told you they know me. I told you.
There's people from Danbury. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody does know you.
But whoever doesn't know me, I'm just a mom, but I'm a strong-voiced, very involved in our children's education, the city of Bridgeport, and just an overall betterment of the kids. So that's me.
How long you been doing that?
My son is 18, so when he got into schools, I want to say it really started, he was in going into the first grade, so 13, 14 years.
And you just got into it since?
Ever since. My son, what started it was because he went to ABCD in Bridgeport. And he was great. Like, ABCD didn't have a negative thing to say about my son. Personality-wise, learning-wise, everything was great. And then he started kindergarten, and they were like, we're noticing little things, but nothing to be alarmed, Mom. It'll be fine. So that kind of, put a flag up. But then it wasn't until he went into the first grade where it was like, your son, he's not reading well, his comprehension isn't well. I'm like, hold up, wait, you know what I mean?
Can I grab some?
Of course. So as a new mom, it only sparked for me to want to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So from there, it just started, and learning the little things that they were saying about my son only sparked more questions, more concerns. And then, it was up from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, did you see the interview?
Which one?
With Ganem and our superintendent.
I did.
Yo, don't forget to share this, please. If you up in here, please share this. This is Car Convos. We finally giving parents a voice.
Yes.
We giving parents a voice because a lot of times they can't talk at the meetings.
Yep.
So we giving parents a voice. So you never know. Next week we got somebody else coming on next week. And if you up in here, just share this. That's all we ask is to share this. Because if you care about our kids, not saying they don't care about our kids, they they're more concerned with their plans and stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with that to me. But if you care about our kids, if you care about your kids, you would share this, you would listen to her. Chaila Robinson. Yes. Can I say owner?
You can.
Can I say owner?
Lou, don't be putting all my business in the streets. Don't be putting all my come on, Lou. You know what they say, move in silence.
Somebody, hey, listen, I'm not disrespecting. I'm not even gonna say it. They talk about. I don't know if you know who.
I don't.
So,
I don't.
You remember the 50 story thing on TikTok from the woman?
Yep.
She found out her man was cheating, this and that. He was broke, all of that. They're trying to say she looked like her. They're crazy, man. People is crazy, man.
Listen, the world, everybody got somebody that looked like them. So
yes, I agree on that. I agree.
So it is what it is.
So listen,
but I'm not her.
Please, thank you, Jen. Thank you for sharing this. If you share this, just comment right now. Just say share. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
So we know we just trying to bring awareness for all the parents to have a voice, and Chaila Robinson is one of them. She was referred by numerous people. They was texting me, group chats, text. I'm like, dang. Like, you know, I know her, but I'm like, wait up, who is this person?
Right.
Like, you know, so, but how did you feel about the interview with Ganem back in the superintendent?
I feel like it's all a setup. Like, let's be honest. Like I told you, you know, on your status, my comment.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep it 100, right? Like, some things that I'm gonna say is not, a lot of people might not like it.
Yep.
I might ruffle some feathers, but it is what it is, because at the end of the day, I'm about for what works for the kids.
Yep. This is our platform, so you can say whatever you want, just no cursing.
For that interview, for me, it only solidified that her and the now mayor were already in cahoots before this came out.
So you think before the election,
100%.
they were already. Is that your phone?
100%. That's my phone, but it's straight. And the reason I say that is because you have to pay attention to her words.
Yep.
Like, everything, and it's not the big words, it's the small words that matter. And when she had her press conference, number one, it was strategically done. She had a press conference on a Wednesday at 8 a.m. Everyone's on their way to work. There was no announcement made. Parents don't have an opportunity to show up, because where are we? Getting our kids to school for 8:40.
I didn't think about that one.
So it was strategic. It was all strategic, and why she did it and how she did it. And she held the budget, you know, which everyone has their own assumption. This is my personal one. But she held the budget knowing that she was going to, make such a huge financial ask, one that has never been done in the history of Bridgeport asks.
Yep.
And two, she was going to announce her proposal to close these schools. Now, why do you hold a budget that should have been out in February? You hold it till right after these elections. And this is a special election. So the city already voted, and, you know, we know all the hoopla behind the whole mayoral situation, but she purposely held it until the day after this special election.
So she dropped it the day after.
The very next day was when the news about the budget came out. Now all of a sudden it's public knowledge. Anybody can see it. You know what I mean? And then I believe it was a week later she announced the closing of the schools, or within a couple days later is when she announced the closing of the schools. So to see the interview of them today with him saying he's backing her, it's all, again, it's about the small words. Look at his demeanor. Look, he couldn't even look the camera in. He didn't even look in the camera. He kept turning to her. He kept reassuring her that he was saying the correct words. And it's all about Ganem has been in the public eye for years. Ganem knows how to talk to the people.
Yep.
If you didn't see the video, look at it and pay attention to his body language. Body language speaks volumes. And he did nothing but thank her and praise her. You're the mayor. The mayor, first of all, has nothing to do with the education system. Even though they're supposed to fund it, something he's never done.
So he doesn't fund the
He's
education?
Supposed to, yes. The city is supposed to. So the Board of Education is funded partly by the state and partly by the city. As long as I've been involved, we've been literally begging the city to fund the schools, because we've been flat funded for years. 4 years. So even with her, with this huge $1 million ask, or multi-million dollar ask, it's a shot in the dark. But I personally feel like she scratched his back by holding off on the budget. Now he's going to scratch hers and support her to close these schools.
Wow.
Because if you felt this way, why come out now and talk about education as the mayor? You didn't talk about education your whole mayoral campaign. You didn't mention your support for the education system and bettering the education. Like, look at history. Look at his history. He's been silent. He hasn't showed up to one of her forums. Those are not parent forums. Let me be clear, and we'll get into that. He hasn't showed up to one forum. He hasn't commented other than today. Why? Because she dropped the budget last night.
She dropped it last night.
Last night at the I think it was a special board meeting, she finally rolled out the actual details of the budget. It was publicly discussed, and that's because last night it was supposed to be voted on. And it was not voted on.
Between who? The board members?
The board members were
her bosses.
Her bosses
okay.
were voting on her proposed budget.
Now, who's her boss? Because
her boss.
I met a few of them when we interviewed her. I met a few of them. To me, all people are good.
Right.
Like, you know,
I agree.
Whatever decision you make is whatever you make. Like, you know, I mean, I have kids, obviously, but I met a few of them, and, you know, and I introduced myself. They introduced themselves, like, you know, and I really don't know who is who, like, right. You know, because I'm out of it. I'm not in the political world. I mean, my kids are graduating. My son, I have kids that's about to go to school as well. So I don't know, like, you know, what's going on. You're an advocate, and I'm trying to learn all of this as I go, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, wow.
You. It's a lot.
It's a lot to
take
in.
It's
like,
a lot.
You know, and me actually meeting her, you know, she was a down-to-earth person.
Right.
To me.
I give you that. Let me tell you, I have nothing negative to say about her person.
Yeah.
I have no negative words about who she is as a woman of color, as a woman sitting in that seat. I have nothing negative to say about her person. Everything that I am against is her action. She is taking steps that are 100% political, and they are not for the betterment of the children. Think about it like this. When someone speaks to you and you're talking and you're truly engaging with the person, no matter the topic, you can feel that person. And they're not even using feeling words. They might not say, I hate, I love, I appreciate, but you can feel the passion. You can feel where that person's words are coming from when they truly mean it.
You're big on energy
and
reading body language.
And when she speaks, it's empty. When she says, and I watched her on ParkedCarConvos, I've seen her in person, I've met her in person, but when you speak to her about the topic at hand, the children, she's saying the right things. I care about the kids. We want to give the kids a state-of-the-art school, but there's no feeling behind it. She's a politician. She's saying what she needs to say to win you over. And that's it. It's literally cut and dry. She, like, at one of these forums, you had children in tears, like, pleading with this woman not to, and this is why they don't want to close their school. And, you know, we know children don't really get the bigger picture like they wouldn't. They just know their friends, their teachers, you know what I mean? So they know what they want to hold on to.
That's a big change, though.
It's a huge change. And she's not looking at the social emotional aspect of that change. She's looking at the building falling apart, which is a big thing. Let me be clear. I am not saying these kids deserve a crappy building. I'm not saying that they don't deserve better when it comes to how the school looks. But I am saying it's not the building that teaches the kids. You know how many kids in Africa are being taught in the middle of a dirt ground with a teacher, and they're learning? I never thought of that. It's not the location that matters. It is what's in the location. And that's my gripe with her. My gripe with her is she stirred up this huge issue, right? And I look at it like this, to keep it plain and simple. She caused mass hysteria, right? She poked at a situation. She brought the news in. She brought the world in to look at the bad, right? The falling down this, the broken light that, the asbestos this, right? The plumbing that, the not working heater this. But you didn't look at the whole picture. You didn't look at the happy children sitting in those desks. You didn't look at the educators that go to that building every single day and are teaching those kids. She did look at the scores, and she's saying that they're not on grade level, which is, she's correct. A large portion of our children are not reading on grade level and are not on math level. But what percentage of that? That's another thing that we're looking at. She's throwing this number out there of this 7%,
Is it correct?
But it's not on the total school body. It's only on the tests that were graded.
Oh.
So if you have 500 kids that took this test, you're not looking at 7% of 500. You're looking at 7% of the amount of tests we took.
Oh, not the whole
Look
school,
at the
just looking at the test.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And that's my issue. My issue is, if you're gonna put it out there, let's put it all out there. Because, you know, she talks about, we're gonna talk about Hall because she brought that up. It was built in, I think, 1914 or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought up asbestos, which caused mass hysteria.
Yep.
You hear asbestos, you automatically think, you know, cancer and sickness. But what people need to understand is, any commercial property built back in the 1900s, all building material had some form of asbestos.
These houses over here,
exactly.
These houses were built in 1890, Pearl Harbor World War.
So there is asbestos in the building material.
All of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not that there's asbestos just growing in the ground as she portrayed it.
Okay.
She didn't educate the parents correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it's a possibility there's asbestos in the schools, but not because of it's just growing there like mold, but because the school was built in the 1900s,
yep.
and all building material back then had a form of asbestos in it.
Yep.
You know, so I say she created mass hysteria because she pointed out all these negatives, and then she gave everybody a placebo. And we know what a placebo is.
Yep.
So she gave us a placebo to say, close the schools, that's the answer. So now you have people who are like, yeah, that makes sense. Schools are crappy. There's asbestos. Let's close the schools. I don't want my kids sick. Right? But you're missing the point because, and nowhere and at no time did she say, when we close these schools, this is what we're going to do to bring those kids up to reading on level.
Oh,
This is what we're going to do to get them on math level. She's avoiding, as she likes to say, she made a tough decision. It's hard to make a tough decision. It's not hard. We're parents.
Yep.
We make tough decisions for our kids every day.
I agree.
So it's not hard. It's not that we, the parents, are scared of this tough decision. At the end of the day, if the schools need to close, it needs to close.
Yep.
But let's close it for the correct reasons. Let's not make it because we have a cracked ceiling tile. Because I'm sure that principal put in that work order. And if they did not, shame on you, principal. So let's open the door for the whole thing. And that's where I'm coming from, because she's aiming the direction about the appearance of the schools.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
There
you're
was a
good.
question somebody asked, are those the same buildings getting the same type of use that a school does?
Say that again? Yes.
That question right there.
Are those same buildings getting the same types of use that a school does? Yes. Many of those buildings, I personally had a building in Westport, very old building, and a children's hospital is in it. So yes.
You still own it, right?
Yeah. So many of those buildings are getting the same use, if not more. The difference is the upkeep.
Yep.
Right? So when something is old, you do like your home. If something breaks in your home, a toilet, it's old, the floors, you want to redo your tile, you want to redo your bathroom, like anything, you have to upkeep it. Now, I won't say that the schools are in perfect conditions and the upkeep has been great. No. Yep. I'd be a fool to sit here and make that assumption, right? Especially when the proof is in the pudding. We saw the pictures. I personally walked through the school. I think you were at the school once.
Yep.
So we all can see it. We're not blind to it, but it's about upkeep. So now we need to point the finger at those that are supposed to be upkeeping it. And again, that starts with the principals. That trickles down to the facilities. Like facilities, what have you been doing? Why do these schools look like this? Like, where is the money? Is there money to fix the schools? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those are the tough questions that should be asked. And in my experience, she doesn't like to answer those tough questions.
So if she was here now in a one-on-one, what would you say to her?
What is your plan when you close these schools to get our children reading on level? Period.
That's it?
That's it. Because there is not one.
Mm.
And I've asked that several times. You know, if you look at her budget is 100% salary based. That is the largest line item in the budget, is the salaries. Now, I think people should definitely be compensated for their work, 100%. But I also am looking at a superintendent making 6 figures, and we can't even afford to re-grout the floors in the bathrooms. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
We have 4 superintendents, 1 superintendent and 3 assistants, all making top dollar.
Wait, under her is making?
Under her.
Wow.
She hired 3 under her.
Wow. Hey, listen, hire me.
Feel me?
Under her?
Under her.
What do you think they're making? Not to be in their business now.
I mean, I think it's personal. I don't personally know, but I believe it's
just
between
like
90 and 100K.
Ooh.
Yes, it's not cheap. We just discussed, well, let me not say we because I wasn't on the board, but I was a part of the meeting. They were just discussing an $80,000 salary for a public relations consultant. That's a consultant. That's not even a public relations person.
Wait, so they're asking for
$80K a year.
A year for a consultant?
For a consultant.
Dang.
So you can imagine what other salaries are.
Yeah.
Right? But we can't afford for paraprofessionals full-time in the classrooms. We can't afford for a nurse for every school. You got nurses sharing schools. You got social workers split between 2 and 3 schools. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. So if we say, okay, cool, let's go with what she is ultimately, she runs our school district. So if we base it off of her proposal that she says is amazing and it's the way to go to save our schools, what do you do when you redirect these children? Where obviously they're going to go to other schools.
Yep.
But now that means you have a classroom that already has 22 to 25 students currently. So now you're redirecting. How you're going to at least add 5?
That's 30 to a class.
Now you got 30 to 1.
Yep.
And you expect that to be an adequate education, but the resources have not changed. We're not talking about pouring more into resources. We're not talking about bringing more educational tools to those classrooms that are going to add kids to.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? We close the schools throughout a 3-year plan, according to her plan. We close 3 schools, we rebuild 2, or we close 4 schools and rebuild 2, one of which is an adult education, which is great, right?
Yep.
Everyone deserves an education. I'm
I
not
agree.
against adult education.
Yep.
But we redirect it for adult education. We redirect it for special needs, which again, great. Our special needs children need that. But now we're still talking about a great population of kids that are split up now amongst the other schools. What else are we talking about to help them read on level? Because we've already pointed out that they're not reading on level. They're not on math level. And our scores are low. But nowhere in her 3-year plan has she stated factually that she has a plan to get our kids on level.
So she's just talking about closing and just strictly...
Closing and offering this state-of-the-art learning center and giving our kids a state-of-the-art facility, which is great.
Yeah.
But it still does nothing for our test scores. It does nothing for our test scores. So where is the plan to make that great?
I see what you mean. So what does that do to make them better? Like closing school is not going to make them smarter. Mm-mm. Excuse me. Maya, can you get my water out the crib? Thank you.
He's so ghetto, y'all. He's so ghetto.
It's Car Convos.
And look, I came prepared.
I left it in the crib.
But yeah, that's honestly like, so that's not great.
That's exactly, all right. Oh, so now I understand because, again, not a lot of parents get to speak at the meetings.
Right.
Why is that?
Because she runs it that way. If you look at a forum, it's supposed to be an engaging conversation, right? Where you say your piece and we offer our feedback. If you look at her history of everything she said to this, down to her video with Ganem.
Yeah.
Parent involvement. I want the parents involved. I want to work with the parents and the community. But she has yet to do that. And when it's time to actually sit down and hear the parents, she doesn't want to do that.
Why do you think that?
Because she can't handle the tough response. So she created, and I'm using her words, she made a tough decision. And now she's getting a response. And she can't handle it.
Okay.
And that's what it is. Now, to her defense, you know, there was a particular meeting where it got a little chaotic.
Was I there?
You were there.
I was there.
It got a little crazy.
I was there.
You know, and being completely transparent about it. It did get a little crazy, and it got to a point where I had to tell everyone, chill, we're not even getting nowhere.
I seen you sitting there, and
arguing.
I was wondering, I'm like, why is Chaila there?
Yeah, because I'm one to observe.
But then I seen you talking.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Because I'm going to observe, I'm going to watch, I'm going to feel it out, I'm going to see what's what, because I'm not one to jump. I'm not a bandwagon jumper.
Yep.
I don't do those.
Like
you
a
know what I'm
trending
saying?
topic or nothing.
And that's honestly what happens, right? And parents, I'm going to hold you all accountable too, including myself, because we don't get riled up until it's a hot topic, right? We don't get fired up. We don't get upset. We don't pull together, band together. We don't have as much voice when things are cool.
Yeah.
Until it becomes a hot topic, now we all get an opinion. And that's not fair, because there are a handful of us who are involved every day. You know what I'm saying?
You know who mentioned that? Joe Grits.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned that. He commented one of my posts and said it seemed like it seemed like the topic is dying down.
I don't think it's dying down, but what happens is
like a trend, like people are not involved. So now that it's dying down, they're like, I mean, they were involved, but now that it's dying down, they're like backpedaling now, like, you know.
And what happens is, in the history, when you've run up against a brick wall enough times, you give up. Right?
That's true.
So there have been 3 parent forums organized by the board and the superintendent.
Yeah.
Of which she ran. Right?
And you guys weren't able to speak.
We were not able to speak.
Okay.
Meaning she had Bridgeport PD in the building. Tough. You would have thought it was a gang rally to how deep they was, right? She had flashcards or index cards, and the parents had to write their question or their opinion on the flashcard and give it to the moderator, and then she then read the flashcard and answered it if she wanted to.
Wait, so if it was a specific question?
If it was something, or whether it was a question or a comment, if it was something she read that she either didn't like or didn't feel she had to answer, I don't know what she was thinking, why she chose not to read it, but there were many where she looked at it and said, pass, and put it down.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's not a forum. That's not a conversation. That's not how you make people feel involved. And that's why I said to her in one of those meetings, she's broken the trust of the community. One thing that Bridgeport lacks as a whole is trust, right? I don't get into the whole mayor, I don't get into it, right? Yep. I vote all the time. Yes, I am a voter, but I don't get into the most recent Gomes versus Ganem. Ganem's this and Gomes is this and this. I don't get into that, right? Yep. Because then you get so consumed with choosing your side, whether it's you're choosing a side because you truly believe in what that person's saying, or you're choosing a side because a close friend or a friend of a friend is on that side, right? So I don't get involved. I don't choose sides.
1 second. Steph, I didn't see the questions. If you could, comment them again. I didn't see the questions because you know we interacting and we're talking right now, so I apologize for that. But that is, so you guys really don't have a voice at all then?
No, she doesn't, and maybe, again, to her defense, maybe she feels like she's been backed in a corner, you know what I mean? Because again, at that one meeting, there was a huge, it was touch and go. Like, I thought blows was about to be thrown, at a certain point. But it's a lot of emotion, and a lot of parents act on emotion. and we have to think logically. It's like we have to take a step back, take a beat, and really think about it. Think logically about it, because in my heart of hearts, I don't think she means our kids any harm.
Yeah.
I really want to believe that she's making this call because it is the best call.
Yep.
Like, I wholeheartedly want to believe that. But the facts and what I see on paper doesn't make me believe that. And that's why it's important for the communication, because she has insight to things I don't have insight to. I went and looked at the kids' test scores, and that's how I was able to dig up and see that, yeah, there are 386 kids enrolled, but only 101 of those test scores were included in this number. Why? And what of those 101, what kids were picked and choose? Like, what was the process? Because
like,
in my mind,
the bad grades, or did you go with the
right?
good,
Did you go with kids who are in SPED? Did you go with kids who are in a certain percentile? Like, what was that? That is to the SBAC, and that's the test that she used. It's a state ran test. It happens every mid-April to May.
Yep.
So that's the test that she's getting these numbers from, and it is public knowledge. So I encourage anyone to go right on the state website. You can see it. And the other part of that, those results are, if the scores are, and I'm using my own words, I'm paraphrasing, like inconclusive, like there's not enough information.
Yep.
The numbers won't even be there. And in a couple of those schools, that is the instance. So the number isn't even made available. So those are questions that I personally have. Yeah. Because she threw numbers out there that are not on the state website.
Oh, wow.
So for me, if I'm going to...
I don't think a lot of people know that.
They don't. A lot of our parents do not know that. Yes. A lot of our parents don't know that. And, you know, for me, it's about... For me holding her accountable, it's not that I am against her closing the schools. I am against her making decisions for the children and not including everyone and including all the information.
Somebody, Steph, I see what you said. You said you have to question in the last 10 years how many supers we have. Sandra, I see some people shouldn't be put in those positions. They tend to get big-headed. Sandra said, just trying to figure out how you uproot all these children, close schools, and not think about the consequences.
And just to that point, that's the problem that I have, because she's not looking at the overall well-being of the kids. Because let's be honest, a lot of these kids deal with a lot of different things outside of school. We just heard a young man just got killed on Olive Street, I think that was. My Facebook lit up. I don't personally know him. Yeah. But the amount of people that were affected, I can imagine he has siblings, he has cousins, he has nieces and nephews. They're dealing with that. Yep. And they still have to go to school and show up. And they're expected to do good and carry on their day-to-day. So outside of that, you have kids being evicted from their homes. You have domestic violence going on. That's not just adult issues. Our kids are subject to that. So when they go to school, of course, all of that is going to be something that they're dealing with. So now you uproot them from the one safety net they might have.
That one school, that's their safety net. They know the teachers, they know down to the janitor, right? They have that connection. So now you close that and there's no remorse. There's no, like I said, there's no plan. Yeah. Like, are you going to bring in counselors to support these children? Because now you've uprooted them from something that they know. Now what are we going to do? Now you still expect them to perform well? And in many cases, you won't be provided a bus because there's no extra budget. So now mom, dad, grandma, auntie, somebody's got to figure it out. How are they going to get to school? You know what I mean? So it's just a larger picture that I don't personally feel like our superintendent is looking at. Have other parents reached out to you?
Let me tell you, my inbox is going crazy, and I'm doing my best to get the answers for those people that are in my inbox. Yep. And for the record, I'm not paid for any of this. This is 100% volunteer. I don't work for the city. I don't work for the board. I just care. Like, I just care because we have to care. You know what I mean?
You have kids.
Exactly. I have kids. My kids are in this with your kids. Like, I'm not exempt. The difference is my kids attend a school that is not on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm not going to support
that you still don't
my
care.
community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's going to affect my kids. Because Wilbercross is our neighboring school. I know a lot of kids that attend Wilbercross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in the summertime, the schools mix for summer camp.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's going to affect a lot of things.
And, like you said, the busting. Kids aren't going to have rides.
After, I think she said a mile. Up
After
to a mile. Up to a mile they can walk, I believe.
That's kind of tough.
That's not kinda.
That is tough.
That is very tough.
I mean, in high school, I walked.
Right.
Like, you know, I went to Dunbar, and I lived down the street. Like, from here to that green house right there, I walked there.
Right.
That was it. But me coming from near Hardin to go to old Hardin to go to Dunbar.
That's a lot. That's a troop.
Crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
That's a troop. And then you talk about bad weather, rain. Half of these streets don't have sidewalks.
Somebody asked, Lou, asked her about the question the board member asked about the school budget. His last question. The head chair, and the 4 board members were speechless for a whole 5 minutes.
They weren't speechless. They purposely ignored him.
What question was that? Do you know?
He asked, hold on, you're about to make me regroup because it was late. It was 11 o'clock last night.
That's what time it ended?
Yeah, it
Chris,
ended really
what
late.
question was that, if you remember?
Yeah, please help me remember the question. Did he ask to postpone it?
He asked to postpone the...
Well, it's now the voting on the budget.
Yeah.
It's now is postponed, and hopefully he can get it postponed again because it shouldn't be voted on. The budget is not ready.
Yeah.
It's just not ready. It's just too much going on, right? Like, we had Marlene Siegel, for people who did chime into that last night. Marlene Siegel is the one who spoke on the budget. She was online. She wasn't live there. Marlene Siegel's been with the Board of Education as CFO for 2 decades, maybe. Yep. Amazing woman. Tough. I had my run-ins with Marlene. But Marlene knows our budget. And magically, she retires. And a new CFO is in place.
Wait, she retired last year?
No, now.
She retired now?
Like, a couple days ago, Lou.
No way. Wow.
No reason given.
So she
Those are the sneaky things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when the budget was first let out by the superintendent and the chair, Marlene Siegel could not speak at the finance committee.
So who are the board members? That's
So,
who are,
okay.
Because I didn't see, I see somebody comment their name.
Right.
But
which I don't know everybody either. In all
fairness, do you know their names though, or do y'all know their names?
Right.
If anybody comment.
So we got Will Traber. We have our chair, Christine Baptiste. I apologize if I'm butchering anybody's name.
Yep.
I think her name is Christine Baptiste. She's the chair. Will Traber, Joseph Sokolovic, Albert Benenheim, Willie Medina. That's all I got.
Jennifer
know the
Perez,
rest.
I think.
Perez, yep. Jennifer Perez.
I met her.
Jennifer
she introduced
Perez.
herself. Yep.
And then there's a gentleman, Andre something. Andre somebody.
Somebody said Bobby Brown?
No, unfortunately, Bobby is no longer on it. We miss her. We love Bobby. Bobby was the last term. Bobby's term ended last year. Bobby was the chair before.
So she was
the chairperson of the board. Yes,
okay.
Christine Baptiste's seat.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So you see, it's a huge shift.
Yeah.
It's a huge shift because, as someone stated on the live, you get a little bit of power and it goes to your head.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with.
Wow.
And it's sad because for many years, like someone said too, we can talk about, go back 10 years of superintendents, right? And it has not all been peaches and cream, right? So we had Fran Rubidowitz, who was an amazing woman. Fran was ran off the board by ran out of her seat. She actually quit in the middle of her term because our board members at the time literally bullied her out of her seat, like
wow,
treated her like crap, you know. And then we had, I can't think of her name, we had a superintendent right after Fran who pretty much the same thing happened to her. She was kind of bullied out of her seat, but she quit as well.
Can I ask you, are board members getting paid?
No, it is a free position. You
free
are
position.
voted in by the city, and that's how they get their seat, but they are not paid.
Wait, so you mean to tell me if I run for the board,
it's free? It's 100% voluntary.
How many votes, or who has to vote for me to get on the board?
The entire city of Bridgeport, Connecticut.
So that's how they run. Like, you know, it's like I want them to be on the board. Like,
yeah. So like if you want to run next year, because there are 5 seats I think coming up, 4 or 5 seats where their term is ending. It's a 2-year term. And you decide you want to run, you can run, you know, Democratic Party, Republican Party, or independent, like the mayors do, like the city council does. Same thing. You're going to go door to door and campaign.
Somebody asks, why are some of the board members being censored? Rob Traver?
Traver.
Who's that?
Rob, I love Rob. Rob he is Bridgeport. Rob is born and raised Bridgeport. He's been involved probably as long as I've been involved. He's actually, you know, dare I say, mentored me. He's given me a lot of advice over the years.
Yeah.
Rob is newly appointed to the board. I believe his seat is one of the seats that is up next year.
Yeah.
And Rob is just a community member, like loves Bridgeport. You know, and he's censored because Rob speaks what Rob feels. Rob knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, when, like I said earlier, when asked the tough questions, she avoids it. She will not answer the tough question.
So if the board members, because again, I'm new to all of this.
Yeah.
So if the board members are her boss, why aren't they able to speak?
So as a board, there are rules and regulations to everything.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're sitting in the form of a formal meeting, there are certain robs of rule of law that you have to follow. Like you have to follow order. There's order and process to everything. So the chairperson is responsible for maintaining that order. And unfortunately, we have a chairperson who is more of a dictator. And she says what goes.
A dictator
of the board. So she'll, like, if you paid attention to last night's meeting and all of the meetings, she has control over the microphone. She will turn on and off your microphone when she feels like it.
And who is that?
That's Christina Perez.
Oh, Perez. Is it Baptiste Perez?
I don't know her full name.
I don't know. I thought
lady.
You said Baptiste.
It is. It's Baptiste Perez. She's definitely hyphenated.
Okay.
But she controls the meeting. So when he tries to talk, she'll talk over him. I don't know who you're talking to. She'll put her hand up. She'll turn his mic off.
So we have people like that.
We do.
That's on the board above our kids?
We do. Even our superintendent. At the meeting, our superintendent, she said in the middle of talking, you know, a parent asked her something, and before it got all crazy, and she said, this is my meeting. If you want to run it, I could just leave.
To the parents?
To the parents. The parent asked a question. She didn't like, and, you know, she wasn't answering the question, right? And the parent was like, but you're not answering my question. And she said, listen, this is my meeting. I can just leave. You got all the answers. I could just leave. I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
I don't have to be here. Like, that's not an attitude that you have in the position that you have. You know what I'm saying? But, again, in all fairness, our board hired her. So you didn't do your due diligence
on
board members.
Check.
Right.
So, okay. So
because you hired her.
Wow. So the board hired her.
The board hired her. And before she was hired back in August, there was a huge meeting, and we begged them not to find a person like her.
Yeah.
We, like, when I tell you we begged. We need somebody from Bridgeport. Don't choose nobody out of state. There's there were candidates that were equally educated, well-versed in the same, educational background and the experience of what a superintendent holds.
Yep.
That was born and raised here in Bridgeport. And we said, choose someone from Bridgeport, someone that knows Bridgeport.
Somebody said the members that didn't want her were outnumbered.
They are. The numbers are off.
So is it...
Everything is a vote. And it's 9 board members, so that's a 9-person vote.
Okay.
So the people
it's only 9. It only can be 9.
It's only 9, and it can only be 9.
Okay.
And
it's an odd number?
Yeah, that's why.
Wow.
So 5 people support her. So she will always have the vote.
Wow. So what 5 people support her?
I just told you I don't know the people's names.
Oh,
why you keep doing me like this?
I gotta ask.
I don't know all the people's names. Like, I don't want to, offend. I don't want to disrespect nobody because I really don't. I know the guy's name is Andre. I don't know his last name. Jennifer, what did you say she introduced? Perez.
Yeah, she was nice.
She's super nice. She's the secretary.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my first interaction with her, and I didn't get a negative vibe from her. I didn't get a I don't care type of vibe. But yeah, so I can tell you the 4 members that are not in support of what's happening. And that's Willie Medina, Albert, Joseph Sokolovic, and Will Traper.
Okay. And they aren't the ones that put her there, correct?
Yes.
Oh.
Let's be clear.
Dang.
When you hire the superintendent, it is everyone.
Dang.
Right? So that is a census that they like they said, you made your bed, you gotta lay in it. You know what I'm saying? And to be fair, Willie Medina was not on the board when she was hired. Willie Medina came on just recently, a new board member, and I think a couple of other people.
I'm actually gonna have them on the show next week.
Great.
Willie Medina, Albert Benenheim, Joe Sicole, and I mean I have a truck, so
they could fit.
Because I want to know, what causes mayhem.
And you know what? Like I said, this is not the first Board of Education that has been in mayhem. Yep. So it's not like this is new, and it's sad.
I remember around 2 or 3 years ago, they were trying to close Edison. Maybe
longer.
It was longer?
I think it was more like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, 3 or 4 years.
Because Hallen School, my school, was also on the same chopping block with Edison then.
It was Hall as well.
Yes, because we're the small neighborhood schools.
Who was the superintendent that time?
That's the lady, I can't think of her name.
I don't even know.
It was before Michael Testani, but I can't think of the lady's name, and I feel bad. I feel terrible. Because she was a nice lady, but I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, and was that her plan, to do the same thing, close the school?
So I think that was a, if I remember correctly, it was more of a strategic move. It was we're in the red and we're getting flat funded, so the only thing we can do is close the school. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like this superintendent is doing it, where she is actually proposing this is the way to save our schools. No.
Somebody said Arista?
Yes, Aresta Johnson.
Aresta, okay.
Yes, that's her name. Thank you.
Taiwan. I want to say Taiwan, like Taiwan stack.
Because I couldn't remember her name.
I'm just say Thai, man. I'm just say Thai.
Yes, Dr. Aresta Johnson. That was her name.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, now, but that situation.
Somebody asked, were you around when they were first trying to close Dunbar?
Yes, I was around.
And did you advocate?
Of course. Of course. So
yes.
let me tell you, I am not for closing schools, right? I think there is always a better way. Our city is too large to shut down buildings. No one building is big enough to house the many children that we have, right? Every school has at least 250 kids.
Yeah.
Whether it could hold more is a different topic. But minimally, every school has about 250 kids. So I don't think closing the school is ever the answer. But I do feel like allocating funds to fix these schools is the answer.
Yeah.
Right? And working in nonprofit for many years that I do, I struggle with why our school system isn't creative. Like, there are so many organizations in Bridgeport that do things for kids or say they do things for kids. Why are we not tapping into that? We're a nonprofit.
Can you name some if you know?
So
any?
you have Harry Bell, who has Color a Positive Thought.
Shout out to Harry Bell.
You have 100 Women in Leading, I think it's called. I apologize,
Shayna and
ladies.
Bobby, correct?
Yep.
Shout out to Shayna and Bobby.
You have them. You have...
And whoever else involved, if I
right.
miss your name. I don't want nobody to get mad at me.
That's how I feel. Like, you get nervous. But there are just so many organizations. Think about it. In September, how many backpack giveaways do you see?
A lot.
At least 10. Minimal.
Yeah, a lot.
Minimal 10.
Yeah.
Imagine if they all combined together and had one massive backpack giveaway. The reach that we would have.
And they do them for different size too as
right.
well. They do them for different size
because as they should. Bridgeport is huge.
I was gonna say that so
Bridgeport
many sides of towns.
So I don't see why not. But my thing is,
Takia Gift Girls.
Takia Gift Girls. See, that's another one. Thank you. Shout out to her. It's just so much in Bridgeport. Black owned, brown owned, white people owned. I don't care who owns it. There's so many people and entrepreneurs just based in Bridgeport alone.
Yeah.
Why are we not tapping into that? You know how many contractors are in Bridgeport? You telling me that we can't reach out to one of them and say, listen, let's make a deal.
We'll give you the work.
We'll give you the contract. You keep our school together.
Yeah.
But don't charge us crazy. But the problem is our board gets into these contracts with people who are not Bridgeport based, who charges us money like we're a corporation. The public schools is a nonprofit organization. Every school has a nonprofit ID.
Didn't, if I want to recall, John Gomes mentioned that. He mentioned that he wanted this stay in-house with the contract.
Yes, as they should. We can't even go into our schools and paint.
Why
as parents, because we have a painter on contract. Will be breach of contract.
Wow.
If I wanted to go in as a mom for free and buy some paint and we have a massive paint night to pick up the beautifications in our school, we have to consult downtown because we have a painter in contract.
We have one painter? Or?
I think we have multiple. Okay. But the point is we're stuck in contract.
Damn, I didn't know none of this.
Yes.
I'm like in the shadows right now.
And there's just so much. There's so many people that do so many great things in Bridgeport that I'm ashamed that our board isn't tapping into that. Yeah. Like, that's my question. Why are we not tapping into our own?
Are the people from the board, I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't know, but do they live in Bridgeport?
They have to.
Oh, they have to?
That is a requirement.
Okay.
You have to.
So I'm assuming that none of their kids go to any of the schools that...
So last I know Albert's kids graduated. They all attended Bassick High School, and Joseph Sokolovic's kids are on the North End, but I believe they've graduated out. Robert Traber's kids, Hall, they all graduated out. His granddaughter is coming into Hall soon. Willie Medina's daughter, her daughter, one of his daughters, he has 3. She just graduated with my oldest son at Central.
Yeah.
So yes, the majority of them had or have children in school.
And they still fighting the fight.
Wow,
that's big. So what would you say to parents to get involved, to stop? How do we stop it?
I would say...
We stopped the last one.
And we can stop this one.
How did we stop the last one?
Because we came out. We didn't stop. Apply pressure. Like you said earlier, I think you said Joe Gritz said it, that it's not a hot topic, so people are dying out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So what I would say is get involved. Stay involved. Ask questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, say, I don't know what to ask. What are you doing for me? Because at the end of the day, those 9 board members were voted into those seats by us. Our vote, when we go out there and we vote, that's on us. So we put them in those seats. So while the superintendent works for the board only gets those seats because of our votes. So I would say, again, ask the questions, and it starts at your school. Go to your principal. Every school has what's called a PAC. It's a Parent Advisory Council. Every single school has one. Go and ask, who is my PAC president? And if you don't know, Look me up on Facebook. I will get you your PAC president's name. You can reach out to them and just get involved. And if you don't know what the PAC is, the easiest way to explain it is it's a PTO. It's a group of parents who get a select amount of money from the state to do things for the parents and the schools. So whether that's host a play, have a workshop, so that's what the PAC is. So I would say get involved. If this is yearning to you as it should, whether you are for closing schools or against it, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's best for our kids. Educate yourself on what's best for your kids within your rights for the city, because at the end of the day, there is no school system without us and our kids.
That I agree. If you could say something to the superintendent now that you're able to have a voice, because this video is going to be up.
Of course.
What would you say to her?
I would say to our superintendent, have a sit down with us. Truly open your heart and sit down and hear us.
Hold on 1 second. She gonna repeat this. Can y'all screen record this so this video could go everywhere? Screen record it, save it, make sure you post it up in your stories, everything. She about to say it over again. All right, so screen record. Start with screen recording right now. You got 2 seconds. 1, 2. You can start over now.
So what I would say to the superintendent is, hear us. Truly hear us. Open your heart and truly sit down and listen. And know that our emotion, our anger, our frustration comes from the love, the support, and the need for our children. You are in your seat to support our children and do what's best for them. And we, as their mothers, as their fathers, as their aunts, uncles, grandparents, we are here to make sure that you are guiding them in the best way possible with our support, with our input. Truly sit down and hear us.
There she go. Listen, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate
it. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know how to get it from around here, right?
Listen. Listen. I might not be from here, but I'm good.
I'm happy for you with your, I know I don't want to say it though, but you know.
Thank you. Yeah, don't be putting all my business in the street.
I seen it come a long way.
Yes.
It came a long, I was like, wow. I'm happy for you, and you still fighting the fight.
Everything with growth. You know what I'm saying?
Everything with growth.
When you take time and you pour into what needs to be poured into, everything will get better. So if we take the time and we pour into our children, we pour into our educators, we pour into the resources for our children, everything will get better. We're expecting an overnight cure for something that's happened for decades. And that's where we got to put the brakes on it. This ain't something that's going to happen overnight. And let me be clear. I don't think there's a parent alive that is scared of change. We're not scared of the new or the 21st century. But we got to move cautiously, because you're talking about decades of things that need to be undone. And you got to crawl before you can walk.
That's a fact.
We can't just start running.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
And she running?
She running. She's running. And she might be running in the right direction.
Yeah.
But you got to slow it up. Because at the end of the day, these children, emotions is what matters. If you got an upset, crying, not happy child, you're not going to get good test results. It's not going to happen.
I agree. I told her, you know, I know we at the end of the show, but I told her my kids went to Edison.
Yeah.
My son has a 4.6 GPA.
Look.
My daughter has a full scholarship.
See what I'm
she's in
saying?
college right now.
That matters.
Because it's in the beginning, it started from there.
Feel me?
So that's why I was trying to tell her.
And just
that.
imagine how many more kids are as like they're doing just that same thing that your kids are doing.
Yeah,
they're following those same steps.
I know a lot of kids
you
that's
know
in
what
college
I mean?
right now as well
And
from Edison.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's so many entrepreneurs here in Bridgeport doing what it do.
Yeah.
And they went to these schools.
Yeah. I went to Dunbar and
Feel
I'm
me?
doing great.
Feel
You know,
me?
I don't like that. Like how you say, don't tell my business.
Right. Don't put your business out there. I'm cool with not telling your business. But, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're not a product of what she's saying is doing you dirty.
Yeah.
And again, change is good. Everybody deserves change. But let's do it with baby steps, because we're not talking adults. We're not talking about uprooting some adults that you'll be all right. We'll be back in a minute.
Yep.
We're talking about babies.
Yep. That's a fact.
And they fall in love with their surrounding before they fall in love with what's happening.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how we got to handle this. We got to handle this change that she's pushing for with knit gloves.
Before we go, she said, I still didn't understand her saying that the kids with low scores will have a pipeline of incarceration. That shocked me.
So what she said is true, and that's not on her. There is a real thing called prison to pipeline.
Okay.
You can Google it. No, I'm good.
Right.
You can Google it. And basically, in a nutshell, it's basically saying that our children specifically, due to their demographic, the numbers, educational numbers, they are on that prison to pipeline road.
Yep.
Based on that. And that's not on her. That is something that's been around for a long time. It's not fair, but it is a thing.
I agree. To a certain degree, I agree.
Yeah.
I was,
You were a product of that.
I was a product.
Feel me? And that's why it's not fair that she
it wasn't because of
brought
the
it up.
school. It was because of
Exactly.
my neighborhood.
It was the choices. It was the neighborhood. And that's why I'm saying it's not the building. Closing it down because it looks ugly isn't educating our kids.
That's a fact.
Let's talk about all the good that's happening within those ugly walls. And that's where I'm coming from, because it's not the building that's teaching these kids. So let's pour into who and what is teaching our kids.
I agree.
And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for her to present a plan that is going to pour into these children, because she pointed out a very ugly situation. And like I said earlier, she created mass hysteria because she showed the ugly. The numbers are bad. The test scores are not bad. Asbestos is in the building. Roof is falling in, leaking, plumbing, sewage, one bathroom, all these negatives. Negative. And then her placebo was close the schools and let's create a state of the art. But what is that doing for their numbers? Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's not doing nothing.
I hope y'all screen recorded this.
It's doing nothing for their numbers, because at the end of the day, every teacher in that building is qualified, certified, educated, and most of all, loving.
I agree.
Bridgeport has, let me be clear, Bridgeport has one of the most strongest, loving, compassionate, passionate group of educators I have ever met. They truly love their students.
I know a lot of teachers now.
And they all in.
They love their teachers.
They love their students. And let me tell you, my daughter, you can't tell her nothing about Miss T. She come home one time, it was a couple times, but this time specifically, she came home, she was all excited. Mommy, I gotta tell you something. Miss T, I gotta tell you. I said, I'm mommy. I said, mommy, no.
She said
Miss T. Oh, mommy. You know what I'm saying? But it's innocence like that. She was so excited.
Yeah. I just want to say, not to change the subject, but when I was in high school and I was in elementary, all of that, I was terrible on tests. Terrible. I was just, any test I had, I was just circling.
Yep.
I swear, any test. I didn't care what it was. I was circling. Anything.
Yeah.
But I was smart.
Yes. Because every kid is not a good test taker.
No, my son, we just had this talk. He's like, yo, Dad, I'm not a good test taker. I'm like, yo, me neither.
It's just something.
Like, I'm great at making money. I'm great at buying houses. I'm great at teaching y'all stuff. Like
numbers, it's not, and that's why I said in the last meeting, it's not all about college.
Yeah.
I have a college degree. That was my choice. But I didn't get my college degree right after school. No, I stayed home, bullshitted a little bit. And then it wasn't until I had my first son I went back to school.
That's when you started. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But that was a choice that I made. And it didn't make me dumb or smart. But at the end of the day, life teaches us. It's life lessons. It's those around us, our parents. Like you said, there's shit you could teach your son and your kids. You could probably teach my kids that school ain't going to teach our kids.
I teach my kids a lot now.
You feel me?
I teach them a lot. And excuse me.
You good.
And they're like, damn, Dad, we don't learn none of this in school.
Nothing.
I teach them about stocks. I teach them about crypto. I teach them about everything.
It's so much more you could pour into your kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, college is great. I'm not saying
don't
anti-college. Yeah, listen, I ain't saying that. I'm just saying life teaches our kids. And this is one big life lesson, you know, that is happening. And I feel like we need to handle this lesson with care. We need to tiptoe through this process. And if at the end of it, a couple schools close, at least it was done in such a manner that didn't traumatize our kids.
Yep.
Because that's what's going to happen. Especially our younger kids. They don't understand.
Yep, they don't.
You know what I'm saying? All they know is you took their school away. You took their friends away. You got rid of their teacher. So they don't understand that. And now you're dealing with more social emotional issues. That's one of the big things in our Bridgeport public schools is the ruler system, social emotional. You know, like a lot of teachers do a pulse check on these kids. So we shouldn't traumatize them.
No.
You know what I mean? We have to move through this process the correct way.
I agree. And going back to taking their teachers, I'll be happy when I see Mr. Taggart.
See?
At Tisdale. He was at Dunbar he started his career there. He was there for a long time. Then he ended up going to Tisdale. And every time I see him, I'm like, Mr. Taggart, man, I'm sorry for even making you, like, you know, I was the worst kid ever, man.
I'm sure I'm sure there's mad people on this live right now that's still cool with their teachers now.
Yeah.
Like, I got so many of my teachers on my Facebook that is like, Chaila, oh my God, I can't believe, like, you're just cool with.
Yeah.
Because you've built that relationship with them.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, our kids are with our teacher more than they're with a lot of their parents.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So we really about to rip that bond apart? Come on. Let's do it smart. We got to be strategic. Everything is strategic. And I feel like our superintendent is not being strategic in the right way.
Yeah.
She's being strategic. She's being hella strategic. But she's doing it selfishly. She's doing it politically. And that's not the move. That's not how you do it.
I want to ask like a question that
I
know I'm not.
You can ask.
Who you voted for?
Actually, I voted for Gomes.
Oh, you voted for Gomes?
I did vote for Gomes. But
okay.
and let me tell you why. Because in all fairness, I don't know enough about John Gomes to say I voted for him because of this, right? I voted for Gomes for two reasons. Number one is because originally, the first time around, I voted for Ganem.
Okay. And
I voted for Ganem because Ganem has done some good things.
I think my opinion on Ganem, I think he's doing a great job.
He's a smart businessman.
To me,
a lot of people don't like that. And you know what? A lot of people look at his record. Oh, he's got a record. A felon shouldn't run our city, right? But hold on, you're about to make me put the top back on my water, Lou.
I'm sorry.
Like, number one, I have family members that are felons.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? My husband, felon. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's not what you did that defines you. It's how you overcome that wrongdoing. Now, do I feel like we should have put him back in the same seat that he did his wrong? Probably not. But if we're going to pull it all out there, he hasn't done what he did in the past. So we're not even giving the man a chance to prove that he's reformed, that he's changed. Because soon as you hear Joe Ganem, you instantly think of his felony.
Yeah.
You instantly hear about his felony. But he has done a lot of good things in the city. And he keeps getting voted in for a reason. But again, don't be... My bad. I'm putting your business in the streets. My bad. I love you. But I voted for Gomes this time around because I heard him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you truly sit down and you listen, you have to hear the person that is speaking. Don't just listen to them. You have to hear them. And the one thing that Gomes did that Ganem didn't do was Gomes touched me to my heart with his words. Ganem spoke to me. And that's what our superintendent is doing. When Gomes spoke, other than when he was coming at Ganem, I believed him.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah.
But when, in this time, when Ganem said it, it was like, all right, you're just saying it to win it again. And that's why I voted for him.
Okay, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, at the end of the day, someone can speak to you, and you could feel it.
Yeah.
And when
energy,
and when you feel it, when you feel what they're saying, you know that it's true. You know that it's pure and it's honest and like they mean it. Now, it might not come to fruition because life is lifing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could want $1 million and I could want and truly want to hit the lottery. It just might not happen. But that didn't mean I didn't want that for me. You know what I'm saying? I could want to change the homeless population, and it's just something that I can't do.
Yeah.
Right? But when our superintendent speaks,
you don't feel it.
No. There's no sincerity.
Oh, that's my water. I put my
That's
water
your
in
water.
spot.
I got smart water.
My bad.
I see that. I don't know what Lou got going on. Taking over
from
my cup holder.
I got the Stop and Shop water.
Listen, it's all 10 cents when it go back, so it fucking matter. But yeah, just that's what it's about. It's about truly hearing the person that you're talking to.
I agree.
So
we got to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it.
I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Listen, I'm Lou McClain.
I'm Chaila.
We have Car Convos tomorrow. Chaila won't be here, though.
I won't be here, guys. I'll be watching it.
We appreciate everybody that tuned in today. We have Car Convos tomorrow, and we have Car Convos on Thursdays, which we call it Sport Thursday. Next week, we have, Wednesday, we have J Souls tomorrow, and we have Earl Rogers, who we're going to interview, and we're going to talk about buying lemon cars. Lemon cars. And Thursday, we have a boxer from Bridgeport, Connecticut. He's going to fight on Rhode Island. His name is Lefty. Can't wait to interview him. And then we have Coach Championship. Danny Powell from Stratford Bunnell High School coming on Thursday as well. And we'll be talking about sports. So y'all tune in tomorrow. Y'all tune in Thursday. And we appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. I held you for longer than what I was
supposed to.
That's okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
you, Lou.
Bye.
You're the best.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yep. Yo, Steph, I do read the comments. Yeah, Sport Thursday. But I just hope Earl is ready, man, because Earl ain't come. I don't know where Earl at, but just know we're interviewing him on tomorrow. We're interviewing Earl. So we appreciate y'all, man. I got to get this lighting right, though. So I'm about to mess with it. I'm about to mess with the lighter. I'm blocking the camera and shit. Yo, tune in this week, man. Steph, I do read the comments. I'm sorry. Thank y'all. Tune in.